Good morning, welcome back to my channel. So my name's Diane and I garden here in the northeast of England, and today I'm going to begin my autumn tidy up. I've got lots of different areas around my garden, and what I like to do is I like to just concentrate on one small area at a time when I can, rather than go out and spend all day. Well, it would take a few days to tidy my garden up. So I've put it on a wider angle there for you, so you get more of an idea of the border. It's not huge. And what I like to do at this time of year is just take stock and see how well the planting's gone. So I've got some beautiful Rebecca here. It's right at the end of September, probably beginning of October by the time I get this video edited. But this border has looked like this since, I would say, the end of August, without the benefit of having these Michaelmas daisies, these asters. So you can see it's lacking in colour until you get to this beautiful persicaria at the end, which is called Fats Domino, and I love that. So my thinking is that I need some more late flowering perennials in here to just sort of carry it next year, so I haven't got this massive greenery. And the best way to do that is to look around your own garden and see where the colour is. So you can see I've got some beautiful tall helenium there. They like growing in my garden. I've also got a big clump of Rebecca there. The Michaelmas daisy, that's great. And then if we come round this way, I've got colour in the hydrangeas there. It's very, very late in the season. I gave these the phlox, the Chelsea chop, and that's how I've got a few flowers hanging on there. But the phlox, I would say up until the torrential rain we had last weekend, the phlox has been wonderful. I've got some Monarda hanging on there. Again, I gave it the Chelsea chop. So these Monarda flowers have been finished for a good, I would say, a month. And these ones are still providing colour. I've got some Japanese anemone. And then over here, you can see I've still got some colour in phlox there, all different types of phlox, and a bit of Verbena bonariensis. Colour in this hydrangea, but I don't really want to make space for a hydrangea around there. So yes, I could definitely put in some helenium. I've just spotted I have got some phlox in the back there, but maybe a bit more phlox, a bit more Michaelmas daisy, and this should be fine. Now this is oxeye daisy here, this huge patch, and if you look down into the middle, down there, you can see all the new leaves, lovely and healthy, but all of these big stems have finished. So I can cut those down. This is Loosestrife. It gets a yellow flower all the way up the stem. And then this is Loosestrife here, and this is Crocosmia Lucifer that has fallen forward over the Loosestrife. But my thinking here is that although that looked fabulous in the summer, there's rather too much Loosestrife, particularly in this area here. Right, so I'm going to go in, start cutting back, and I'll just speed the footage up and give you a camera angle where you can see what I'm doing. So what I like to do now is I like to go along the border on my knees and I just cut back along the edge with just a pair of scissors. I don't like using strimmers because you don't know what little animals or anything are in there. And this is great because it allows you to familiarise yourself with your borders again, see what you've got in there, what you've forgotten. You're down at ground level so you can quite easily see the weeds. If you're new to gardening and you're not familiar with weeds, what are classed as weeds in your garden, then just cut things back if you're not sure, rather than pull them out. And I just go along the edge like that, making a new edge. Pick the clod of earth up, give it a little tap, and then throw your grass away, and you get that nice edge there. Because if I put my lawnmower on here, I can't get the lawnmower right up to these stones. So you get this really messy edge. If you've gone along with your scissors first, it's so much easier. This is a pretty little plant here, and this is a nice little plant. This is a geranium, a wild geranium. I recognise these. These are definitely weeds. You get dandelions and all sorts along the edge. And when you get them out at this stage, they haven't set seeds, so they don't spread, and they're just very easy. Any very obvious grass, just pull that out. And that's it. I just work along the border like that. And this here is primula. So they're lovely in the spring. And what I'm doing is you take the weeds out, and then you know where your gaps are and where you can plant fresh plants that'll either come up, if you've got some winter flowering pansies or something, you could put them in. Or you can plant your wallflowers in for next spring, which I will be doing. Cut that leaf off because he's just cut that. Let's tidy it up a bit. And you might think, oh, it's too much of a mammoth task and you're not making much headway. But actually, about an hour in, you stand back and look at what you've done, and it's a case of every little helps. It's like, all right, done that. You might be motivated to go on and do a bit more, or you might think, right, that's enough for today. I want to get this done today because I've looked at the forecast and I know it's going to rain for at least the next 4 days. Right, so we're getting there. The problem I've got in this border is that the Crocosmia Lucifer, which is this big strappy plant here, you must let that die back naturally, so it'll all go yellow like that. The leaves will go yellow and brown and die off, and only then, when you give it a slight tug, beginning of next year probably, will it come away and leave the bulb in the ground. If you cut back your lucifer now and take all the leaves off, then the bulb doesn't get the food from the leaves and you'll get no flowers next year, or very few. So because I want to plant this area out with wallflowers for next spring and foxgloves, obviously I can't get in amongst that, and even if I could and planted the new plants, they wouldn't get any sunlight, so they wouldn't grow very well. So I've thought of an idea. I could use metal supports and pin them back, but I'm going to try just very loosely tying them to this drain pipe, and I'm going to sort of winch them up, and then they'll just very gradually die off, and it'll expose all this area of soil here, and I can plant away to my heart's content. So that's what I'm going to do. So you'll have seen me dig out 3 large chunks of that loosestrife. Hopefully you will have noticed what I was talking about. When I cut it down, it didn't look bad at all. It's like, oh well, that's fine. But actually when this all grows, it's just overpowering, and I would rather have a more sort of diverse mix of plants. So if you can see, I've got the loosestrife still there. That's going to give yellow height. You'll also notice that I didn't use the string. I thought it looked terrible when I tried to tie them up. So I've actually used these sort of half moon metal supports. And an interesting thing with those, I would have thought for my taller plants that the taller half moon metal supports were the best. But actually the smaller one, which is in there, has kept the Crocosmia Lucifer more upright than the taller ones, so that's good to know. So yes, I'm going to have nice red Crocosmia there, and then the loosestrife here. If you've had a look at any of my other videos, you know that we've been preparing the garden for we're going to build a new greenhouse. I've never had a greenhouse in this garden. I use my late father-in-law's round the corner where my mother-in-law still lives. So the soil that I dug out where the greenhouse is going to go is just in a huge heap over there. So I've got that in my wheelbarrow, and I'm just going to top these big holes up there with the lovely rich soil that I dug out of that area over there. And there may be some bulbs in here as well. Oh, we don't want you. Actually, I'm just going to go and tip you on there. And I'll put a link to the video where I dug out all the plants in the area where the greenhouse is going to go. But these are some of them. So this is a beautiful orange geum. So I thought I'll have a geum there. That's a nice hellebore, a Christmas rose. So I think I'll have a hellebore there. And then I'm going to go around the greenhouse now where I've grown thousands of foxglove seeds and wallflower seeds, and I'm going to fill along the front of this border with wallflowers, and I'm going to dot probably at least a dozen foxgloves in this border. So I'll go and get those plants now. This was my father-in-law's greenhouse, and it's always jam-packed in the autumn. So these are the foxgloves that I grew from seed, then immediately lost the labels, so I'm not sure what colour they are. These ones I know are white in these little dishes, so they're going to go in my white garden that I'm going to create. But these ones at the back, I think they're called Excelsior Mixed, and I think they're huge, so I'll take a dozen of them. See, I've got them stashed everywhere. Right, and then into the greenhouse. And I really need to start emptying some of these plants out because I need to plant some seeds, amimajus, things like that. All of these are lupins that I've grown. I've grown hundreds of them. And I'm going to overwinter these in the greenhouse to keep them away from the slugs, to give them some kind of fighting chance. You'll notice that some of them have got powdery mildew on the leaves. Really not bothered, because these aren't going to do anything until next year. And you get powdery mildew because, not because the greenhouse has been too hot and humid, but because it's been so sunny and hot and dry. So I've got ordinary lupins, and then I've got these little ones. These are tree lupins. And then I have lots and lots of wallflowers that I've grown from seed. And the first year I grew them and they looked like this, and I thought, oh my goodness, they look terrible. But actually that's what wallflowers do look like in the autumn. Even if you buy bare root, they might be a bit bigger than that, but they look very scratty and skinny. So I'm not worried. These will go into the ground, they'll get rained on for the next few days, and they'll start bushing out, and then I'll just nip the tips out and they'll go lovely and bushy. So you can see it is standing room only in this greenhouse. I've got foxgloves in the shade underneath the benches. Right, so I'm going to take some of these lovely wallflowers, just enough for that border, and start emptying this greenhouse out. It's always more full, I think, my greenhouse in the autumn than it is in the spring, and definitely the summer. If you look at my previous footage, I had to empty this greenhouse of all the plants in the height of summer in June, because it was like the sun, baking hot. Right, so I'll take some of these. I'll take some of these lovely foxgloves. Foxgloves are one of my favourite plants. Right, so I think I've got about 10 of these lovely foxgloves, and I don't know, about 18 wallflowers. So there we are. I'm very happy with what I've got done today. So I've got lots of nice foxgloves planted in underneath this Crocosmia. Lots of wallflowers, my hellebore. You might have seen me putting this in. This is a beautiful, really tall Sweet William that I grew from seed a couple of years ago, and it's been stunning. So I'm going to try some of that there. It's very sunny border, this. Little wallflowers along here, they'll all bush out. Got my foxgloves in. You'll notice that I've given everything a good water. Well, all the new plants that I've put in, I've given them a good water, a good soak, even though it is forecast to rain later on today. It just helps the soil to get around their new little roots. And when I was planting these wallflowers here, you'll notice that any of the primrose leaves that were covering them, you just cut them back, because these primroses aren't going to do anything until next spring anyway. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And this border will be fine like this until I would say probably beginning of next March, and then I'll come out and I'll take it down. The grasses, everything will be finished. It'll be flat. I'll pull all the Crocosmia out, and then all the sunlight gets to the earth, and all the bulbs and spring plants like the foxgloves and everything will just shoot up. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Nice little butterfly there. One little thing I was going to mention was that I've made a playlist. So if you go to my homepage, you know how it has a bar along the top with shorts and videos and that. Well, I've made playlists. So you can go in and you can click on the greenhouse series or the courtyard series, and I just thought it would make it easier for you if there's a particular part of the garden that you're interested in, and that alone, you can just go there rather than scrolling through all the videos. So happy gardening everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.